I asked Michael to give us a little bit of an explanation as to how all that went down. Michael Haynes from LifeSite News, Rome correspondent.
Thank you very much, John Henry. Yes, indeed. So Mariana Mazzucato was presented to journalists at the Vatican press corps as one of the four-member strong panel of the Pontifical Academy for Life's press conference. Now, Mazzucato was appointed by Pope Francis to the Academy in the autumn of 2022. She's a relatively recent member in that regard. So the fact that she was picked out of all the other academicians is very poignant. Now, LifeSite and many other Catholics pointed out when she was appointed that Mazzucato, who's an economist, is pro-abortion in her public views, and she's also very clear about the fact that she's an atheist. So many commentators were pointing to this fact and noting that this is possibly what's the final straw for the Academy for Life, which of course has been drastically overhauled by Pope Francis in the last number of years. So it was with that in mind that I thought it important to pose the question to Mariana Mazzucato, to ask her about her support for abortion, about her professed atheistic views, given that she is a member of Academy for Life, which is run by Archbishop Paglia, who of course is mired in all sorts of controversy himself. And with that in mind, she wasn't particularly impressed that her stance on abortion and her stance on belief or not in God was being called up in the press conference. But I think it's quite important for journalists to be able to pose these questions to members of the Academy for Life, because the Academy for Life is ostensibly a Vatican academy which is ostensibly supposed to be supporting the cause of life. Now, many commentators, many researchers, those who have been following the Academy for Life for a long time will be very aware that the Academy for Life is now not what it was some years ago, thanks very much in part to those changes which Pope Francis made in the last number of years. But it's with these kind of academicians that we're seeing a new style being pushed through the Academy, pushed through the Vatican, whereby we're having not arguments in defense of life or in looking for ways to try and combat pro-abortion, pro-contraception movement throughout the world, but we're seeing that the Church is almost supporting those lobby movements through the work of its own Pontifical Academy for Life.
Thank you so very much, Michael. Congratulations. Great work. Don't let that browbeating ever get you down. There's a saying in Latin that is about that. You did great.
Illegitimi non carborundum.
I didn't want to say that, Father, because that's swearing, but I guess that doesn't count in Latin.
Not really.
There's more news out of the Vatican, because even though we've been told forever and a day, no, women deacons is not coming, no, it's not coming, apparently now we have a leak from the Vatican, from someone very close to Pope Francis, who says, oh, indeed, the Pope wants to make women deacons. What's that, Liz?
Yes, Pope Francis invited 3 religious nuns, or one is an Anglican bishop, to address the C9, which is his council of advisors, cardinal advisors, his kitchen cabinet, as I call them, to discuss about the female diaconate and how to implement the female diaconate. So much for the synodal process, right? This is now going to be done behind the scenes. This nun by the name of Sister Poker, Sister Linda Poker, Pacher, said that we already know that the Pope is very much in favor of the female diaconate, but it's still something we're trying to understand, to put into practice. And she invited these nuns at the request of Pope Francis. One of the is the first female Anglican bishop who addressed Pope Francis and his cardinal advisors on the role of women. So we have an Anglican bishop advising the Pope and the cardinals on the role of women in the church. That's a paradigm shift if I ever saw one. And her name is Bishop Jo Bailey Wells. And she gave testimony as to how to implement the female diaconate into the Catholic Church. And she added, Bishop Jo Bailey said that Pope Francis is changing the way of thinking and living the difference between the ordained ministry and the baptismal priesthood. So it's interesting to see that he is moving at a frantic pace to change things that John Paul II wrote in an encyclical cannot be changed. But none of that matters anyway to the Pope from the peripheries and the merciful Pope. The Pope is apparently doing all of these things. I'm sure he didn't want this leaked, but, as a woman, I would say you invite two women to an event and it's going to leak out. They're going to spill the beans. And in fact, that's what they did. And so buckle up again. Don't we always say buckle up again? This is Francis and the auto destruction of the Catholic Church.